Pluto's fifth and last subperiod of this zero declination cycle began on October 24, 1866 and ended February 5, 1867, so it lasted just 3.5 months. On November 5th, in 1866, the Republicans won the House of Representatives in a landslide. This was a midterm election. 10 of the 11 states that had seceded and joined the Confederates still had not rejoined the Union. Tennessee had been allowed back in, but that was President Johnson's state. On January 1, 1867, black men were given the right to vote in Washington, D.C. It would be 3 more years before the 15th Amendment was passed in 1870, giving black men the vote nationwide. And then, on February 6, 1867, Pluto moved off the celestial equator for the last time in this entire period and headed north. Pluto wouldn't be back over the equator until 1986, when he'd crossed north to south. Once Pluto was firmly in the northern hemisphere, Secretary of State William Seward bought Alaska from the Russians for $7.2 million on May 28, 1867. General Grant became the 18th president on November 3, 1868, while the former lead general of the Confederacy, Robert E. Lee, died 2 years later on October 12, 1870. The Confederate president, Jefferson Davis, who at one time owned 113 slaves, lived almost another 20 years, dying on December 6, 1889. In his speeches, Davis had used religious justifications for why blacks should be enslaved, stating they were an inferior race. His racist beliefs are still repeated today by so-called Christian MAGA Republicans. Trump himself praises the slave-owning Confederacy and renamed our government military bases in honor of treasonous Confederate generals. He also refused to condemn the violent white supremacists and neo-Nazis who marched on Charlottesville, Virginia in August 2017, when that town voted to remove their prominent statue of the traitor Robert E. Lee. So we are still dealing with the fallout from slavery that began in this nation in 1619 during Pluto's prior south-to-north zero declination period. Slavery may be over, but systemic racism and discrimination, voter suppression, the mass incarceration of blacks, and even Supreme Court-sanctioned white supremacy is alive and well in Trump's MAGA America. Abraham Lincoln would be horrified by today's fascist, racist, and sadistically cruel Republican Party, led by a literal criminal, a convicted felon, and morally unfit racist.